Welcome to Porch Play Chat, sponsored by the American Association for Promoting the Child's Right to Play, or more affectionately called IPA-USA. IPA-USA is a USA branch or affiliate of the International Play Association, which you can find out more information by searching ipaworld.org. As part of IPA-USA's advocacy for play, we've introduced these free Porch Play Chats. And these are conversations with a variety of experts and people who practice play all the time. And so I hope that you'll subscribe to both our YouTube channel and be a friend on our Facebook page. And every Monday, magically, you have a new Porch Play Chat that appears for you to listen to. I'm Deb Lawrence, and I'm the president of IPA USA. And with me on the porch is Lisa Murphy.
Hello.
Hello. And with us today is Ron Grady. So if you have had the opportunity to see one of Ron Grady's Porch Play Chats, you're in for another treat. Ron is an early childhood educator with a passion for child-centered and constructivist methodologies. He encourages his children to learn through art, nature, and play, and enjoys exploring the ways that these connect to deep processes of creative, personal, and academic inquiry. He's worked with children for a decade. He is not that old, and holds a bachelor's in psychology from Stanford University and a master's in early childhood education from Erikson. Ron teaches at NOLA, the Nature School in New Orleans. It's a forest preschool. And he's also the founder of Childology, which provides resources to parents and families seeking creative ways to connect and inspire those little ones. Ron, we're so glad to have you. And today, I know, we're so happy to have you. Ron's going to talk about reflecting on play with children, that, teachers use reflective practice based on our own experiences as educators. But why is it important, Ron, to reflect on play with young children?
Yeah. So, I feel like gonna jump right in. It's, we know that play is the meaningful work of childhood, right? Like we hear this phrase all the time. So it's kind of one of those things that goes without saying, but I feel like it's important to say, like play is the work of childhood. It's, it's engaging, it's inspiring, it's creative, it's challenging. And when you as an adult think about your own work, right, on the days when it's really exciting, engaging, like you love to talk about it because it matters to you, right? Like at its core, this matters to, young children. And so, yes, it merits talking about and reflecting on with them. And, our role as teachers and educators and advocates for young children is we kind of have to be the ones to bring this in. We have to choose that we are going to devote time to this, but it really is so valuable. And, I was actually thinking about really, another analogy for what this is like. And I don't know if you guys ever had during like student teaching, you had to record yourself and then watch yourself back, or like, get feedback from a mentor teacher on your teaching practice, like being aware that you were being seen and then going back to that, and how it kind of, livens you up to moments that are kind of like surprising or gives you new insights. You'll see yourself doing something. Like I remember seeing one day the way that I kind of like handled a situation with a child. And I was like, oh no, like maybe I could have done that differently. But there were also lots of times where, I remember reading a story at snack time and there was kind of a kerfuffle at a table, right? And so I kind of like shifted my position at the table, and going back over that footage, my mentor teacher was like, hey, that was really good. And that, just all those, right, like little simple things that you might not otherwise pick up on. And so when you think about it, that's also kind of what that is for children too. They're playing all day. There's all these different things that are happening that may or may not be present to their, first layer of experience or understanding, that we need to go back with them and reflect on. And so, there's so many things. I don't know if that makes a connection or resonates at all.
How are you capturing?
Yeah,
That's the right word. How are you capturing what you then reflect on?
Yeah, that's such a good question. So for us, a big thing is we use photography and video mainly. So, we all have our cell phone cameras with us. I feel like, one of the things that's implied in this is that a huge part of reflecting on play is first you have to document it, right?
Sure.
Which is also another one of my huge loves. So documentation is key. And the beauty is that it doesn't have to be super in-depth or complex. You might take videos or pictures just of, any moment in play really, because as you guys both know, and as many of us I'm sure are convicted, there's kind of this, what I've been calling like an inexhaustible richness to play. Like it really is so deep, and those things that are sort of, like those moments that may not seem significant are truly, truly the meaty moments, right? When that child is with this, with this tray of water and mulch and pouring like water into each of the muffin tins and then pouring mulch on top and then watching it flow over. That entire sequence, whether that takes 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or whether it's 30 minutes, is rich. And so even capturing a snapshot of that and then bringing it back to that child and saying, hey, tell me about what was going on here. And they'll have a chance to tell you and give you those insights and really kind of deconstruct it for you, for themselves also. And it's interesting in thinking about this too. I feel like there's kind of two lenses that we can look at reflecting on play with children through. There's kind of the practical lens that we've begun to touch on, and the philosophical lens as well. And both of them, again, are rooted in this documentation. So you need to have the documentational evidence, whether that is photos, whether that's videos, or whether that's even in the moment breaking things down, right? But practically speaking, there is that aspect of social emotional development and metacognition. I, for example, have a lot of children who love to play war. War has been going on, for, I feel like this entire year has been a year of war. And so one of the beauties of war, right, is that it gives them a lot of chances to like stretch those social emotional skills about what happens when a friend takes it too far. What happened when I picked up that stick and hit that friend over the head, right? Like not shying away from the difficult moments that occur during play, but really saying, hey, we can go back to them and learn from them. It's so powerful. And you really can kind of see the way that children, as they look at themselves, like not only are they fascinated by the things that are occurring, but they really start to understand on a deeper level what they're doing. And, these are all the building blocks, right? Like, it's not going to happen overnight. Like you're still going to have to do all of these things 1,000 times, but it's starting of a process for them that is rooted in something that they're motivated to engage in as well. And that's another thing that I found in reflecting with children on their play, especially through photos and videos, is that they are motivated to engage with this content and talk about it because, again, it's them. It's that, yeah,
Who doesn't like to talk about themselves?
Well, and
I don't know when. Yeah.
just think about all those vacation photos, right? You only care about the ones that you're in, right? You don't really care about anybody else because you want to make sure you look good, right? Or you want to make sure that you remember something because it was you, and that's even as adults. So you can imagine.
Well, I also think there's an element of trying to get, I'm talking as an adult, of trying to capture verbally the emotional state that you were in while it was happening. And I think that's sometimes why we get long-winded when we talk about that one vacation episode or that one couple of pictures, because you're just struggling to try and identify it, capture it, and get somebody to see what you see. And I'm wondering, do you give, not do you give as though like you're the boss of it, but are the children given some of the technology to capture the play elements as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's such a great question. Yeah, absolutely. One of my favorite things to do is to give the children, like we have a school phone that's in OtterBox, so it's pretty indestructible. So far, so good. And sometimes I'll hand them the school phone and go to the photo or video setting and give it to them. And I love to do that, especially when they're in those places, places that adults can't fit, right? Places that aren't really made for us. So in the forest, we have lots of little huts and forts that people have built or that happen when a tree falls over and people will come and stack sticks on it. and the children are obsessed with those, as you would be. And so often I'll just hand them the school phone through the sticks and say, hey, you do what you do. And, you know, I'll get back 50 new photos of various angles of this. But then also I love to, when they take their videos, are really one of my favorite things, because you capture the snippets of conversation. Yes, you capture that language, you capture those moments of play, those moments of those really altruistic, empathetic behaviors as well that are occurring within the overarching structure of the fantasy play that's happening. You know, those moments that really, under our adult gaze, happen a little bit less frequently, or that we can't really tap into. Those moments are there for the children. And so it not only serves to really reinforce the idea that this play is meaningful work for adults, but also show children that they have the power to capture their own process and then share it back in a way that becomes meaningful for us as educators, and an artifact for discussion for everybody that we can all learn from, that we can all reference. You know, it's an interesting way, and the analogy I'm thinking of is sometimes in a cozy space, right, or a cozy corner, calm corner, however you might refer to it in your classroom, you'll have pictures of the children feeling various emotions, or in a visual schedule, you'll try to use pictures of the children. And it really is sort of the same thing, just sort of something that can arch out into so many different arenas of development and engagement during the day. By giving them, again, those tools to capture their own moments, and then they feel ownership too, you know.
I would think, and because of course technology has just exploded since I was actually, you know, when I was in the classroom, we'd give kids cameras, you know, and then a month later the film would get developed, and you know, you kind of, my point being is that my sense right now, listening and making up images in my head, is that the images that would be captured from the children's point of view would probably, dare I say, be a little bit more authentic to the experiences that they're having, right? Because as an adult, I might be locked and loaded on something that looks cute or quaint, or, oh, this makes my environment really stand out. I'm gonna get lots of likes on this on social media, blah, blah, blah. I would also think, and I'm asking a direct question here, children tend to pose for pictures when they see adults walking around. And my rule was always that I don't take, I take pictures of busy children or working children, playing children, not when, no posing, and they get it, right? Does the posing elements, is it less than with the photographs? Is it less than with what is documented actually by the children? I'm curious about that.
Oh, so are you saying do they pose less when they're documenting themselves?
Other. Yeah.
For each other. You know, I have noticed kind of this interesting, that's funny. You know, I don't know if in my experience that has been the case. I can totally see that. I think, then again, I also probably, again, kind of an attestation to how much I love documenting, but I think my children are pretty used to Mr. On is probably taking a photo or a video of me during this time.
So but I don't need to be like,
but that is such a good point, right? Because very often, to your point, for a lot of educators, especially depending on where you are in your journey or what you have to document too, right? Because a lot of people in different contexts are required to document certain moments as well. And so I think you make such a good point, Lisa, like, giving them that, it is more authentic. And I would venture to say that despite the authenticity that I feel even my photos of the children have, there's no doubt that theirs have more, right? Just for the very act of being a product of the child's own will that they can then take to us. Like that is the, I guess, quintessence of authenticity, you know?
My brain is spiraling right now. Like, what is the difference? And we can table this, but I want to capture the thought, and then we can keep going, because I've monopolized, and Deb, I know she's chomping at the bit.
I'm dying over here.
My brain is considering, and maybe you can come back and walk us through this. My brain is considering the difference between documentation and adultification and interruption. That's where my brain is. I'm going to make a note, and we can come back to that.
I love that.
So Ron, what I want to jump in, it's okay. What I want to jump in and say is, please, those of you who are listening, this is an appropriate use of technology. And if any of you know me, you know how much I hate technology. But having children take videos of their play giving them ownership and trust of a piece of equipment, even though Ron tells us it's practically indestructible. Having documentation, having iPhones or whatever you have in the school phone that allows you to document children, to record their language samples and their conversations, to see how they're solving problems. All of that is beautiful use of technology and not the iPad and the stupid computer games or apps. So please stay away from those. That's not how children learn. So I really love, Ron, that you're giving us an appropriate way.
Good point, Deb.
Technology, because I think sometimes when people are given free rein, they think, oh, I have to have the cute little smart board and I have to have all these iPad games to teach them math and sight words. And that just is driving me bonkers.
Well, this is capturing the moment versus becoming the moment, right? Capturing the experience instead of replacing the experience. So yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, so thank you for giving us an appropriate use of how to use technology outside in nature, inside.
Screen-based technology, yeah.
Screen-based, play-based.
Yes. Yeah.
Child initiated, even though you're handing them the phone and giving them the opportunity, you're the one that's asking the questions. Would you like to record what you're doing? Right?
Right. Absolutely. It's, entirely what they want to do, so I love what you said about capturing the moment rather than like replacing the moment, because that's really what it is. Right. And then the beautiful thing, just to even add on to that, is once you've captured these moments with them and look back on it, that also helps you as a teacher and an educator who works with them, who's a part of their life each and every day, to know, just gives you so many more insights into the children who are part of your community at school and what they're thinking about, what's intriguing to them. It helps you as you maybe plan invitations or provocations, or as you plan what you're going to discuss in your circle time. I know that people have a variety of different contexts, and so some people may have formal times, some people may have more unstructured times, but it really does give you that insight. And it's also a mechanism, right, for relationship, which is something I think that we're kind of getting at as well, or kind of maybe even talking around, right, with all of these captured moments of togetherness, of this work, of this ownership. Is creating a relationship between the children and between the children and us. They're grown-ups in their lives this way. And it really is something that's very beautiful, right? Like, you are taking time to look at me and to spend time with me on this level and to really engage with something that matters deeply to me and help me see, all of the different threads that are here, or let me tell you all the different threads that are here, and listening and saying, okay, I hear you.
Well, and I think the beauty of that, sorry, my turn.
No. Your turn.
The beauty of it is that children love to talk about themselves and love to talk about their experiences. And so many times in classrooms where we feel so much pressure, we don't listen to them. We just say we have to move on to the next thing. So this reflective practice, both with your co-educators or co-facilitators, as well as with children, makes them feel valued.
Absolutely.
That what they say is important, and that you're going to take the time and listen to something that they're really excited about. I think that's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Okay, Lisa, I'm sorry. Your turn.
No, I was actually going to give you a big old shout out. So for those of you who don't know, Deb was actually one of my professors when I got my master's degree. And one of the things that she taught us in the observation class, whether directly or indirectly, was that to some degree, if you weren't, I'm grossly paraphrasing, but that you were not allowed to sit around and do all of this observation if you had no idea what you were going to be doing with the data that you were gathering. And I have taken, that's something that has stayed with me since then, since the minute she said it. And I love how, Ron, you're framing some suggestion on what to do with it, right? Because and not to beat that horse, but I get antsy when all I see is just the capturing of the photographs and like, what is the intention behind it? What are you doing with this? Does it really need to be captured? Whose ego is being served by this, and to bring it back to that relationship piece, that it might be giving me insight as to the nooks and crannies of the environment that I'm not either allowed in, you know what I'm saying? Or it's really that kid-friendly space. So you're helping me see that there can be, and I maybe have been guilty of thinking, you don't need to stop taking all those pictures, be with them. And you're allowing me to see that if done with intention, it can get deeper than just posting on the social media. And I think personally, I've appreciated that this morning from you, because I might not be so knee-jerky the next time I see people just standing there with the camera. And I want to say, put it down, be there with your own eyes, not through that filter.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you for saying that. I mean, I just want to echo and say, like, I so agree. The second that becomes an impediment to being with the child, like, put it away. There's, put it away. The second that you find yourself just mindlessly snapping photos, like, put it away. Like, try, challenge yourself. Take one photo and put it away. Doesn't have to be perfect. Doesn't have to be that. Have a day. Like, I think, what I'm trying to say is setting boundaries as well, right? Because it is, our phones, our cameras, all of these things are wonderful. And we're in such a culture where sharing and translating our work for others is simultaneously something that is almost an obligation these days, and we have to do it. But again, needing the most important part of our job, as you say, is being with the children. And so, making sure that you have boundaries around that as well.
Yeah.
Maybe there's days where you don't use your phone and take any pictures, and challenge yourself to be, right? Cultivating these dual practices so that way you can appreciate being, and then also approach the capturing of these moments and the reflection around them with more intention otherwise. And I just wanted to share, we also at our school, my co-teacher Lauren, love her, shout out to Lauren, but no, she created this thing called the Good Times book. And so every now and then we'll go through some of the photos of children's play and put them in a little photo album that we keep in our cozy spaces bin for us in the forest, so we can move it around. But she put the Good Times book in the cozy space bin. And so every now and then the children will go in and look at them and their peers in play. And so, yeah, we did this, which is wonderful. And I guess, to contextualize that, often when we do our reflections on play, it's as part of our floor book ritual, which is kind of just during our morning meeting, we'll paste it in the floor book and talk about them as a class, so we can talk about friendships and, what worked well, or if we want to do this again or explore this, just sort of a documentation device. We don't have walls, so that's what we do. But I love that Good Times book, because it really is just those snippets and snapshots in a way that honors being there in that moment.
And the community that you've created.
Yeah.
And Deb and I are older. We remember actually picture books. I mean, do you remember? You'd go to grandma's and my mom's, and you'd go through the albums and the recall and the story. And that's not how I remember it. And I miss that. I sound like my mother right now. Like, I miss that creation of that book. And I find now that they're all here, but it's different. Like, remember Barcelona, but where it was like, remember Barcelona, and that tangible, maybe touching it, but maybe that's just my 52ness showing.
No, I think that having those memories, and Ron, tell me again what you draw when they're in circle. What do you call it?
So it's called a floor book. It's like the floor book. So it's like a big,
you have to watch Ron's speaker series, because he shows you but they actually draw what the children are talking about as it's happening. It's amazing. It's amazing. And because it's such a key documentation of what they were thinking, feeling, experiencing, enjoying, and remembering. It's beautiful. Beautiful. So Ron, closing thoughts, because we're back to back today. It's crazy.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, gosh, just take this at your own pace and challenge yourself, if this isn't something that's already in your practice, to do try it out and see how it goes, whatever your context. I mean, whether you're in a situation where you have, you know, a lot of structure around you, or whether you have more free-flowing days or somewhere in between, take the time to snap a few photos of the play, put the phone away, and then revisit the moment with the children the next day or in a couple of days, and just really prepare to be surprised and prepare to be inspired.
And Ron, beautiful. And so much similar to what we learn a little bit from Angie Play too, where
I was going to go there.
Yes. So next time, Ron, are you familiar with Angie Play?
You know, I have heard of Angie Play. I'm not like super in-depth familiar with it, but it's something that I've heard of and read a little bit
of that
on.
reflection piece, like the documentation through the day, and then children reflecting on it, you know, kind of communally at the end of the day. As to what happened. Yes.
So you were doing Angie Play before you knew it was
I knew what Angie Play was. Yes.
And you know what it is? It's good practice, right? So you're already incorporating those wonderful practices of reflection. So thank you amazingly so much. So don't go anywhere. I'm going to close this out, and then we'll be right back. So until next time, be sure to visit IPA-USA.org. Up on the top right-hand corner of the website, you can be subscribed to the YouTube channel. Those subscribers just keep going up. I get emails all the time that says so-and-so has subscribed to your page. And then make sure you friend us on Facebook, and magically you will get a new Porch Play Chat every Monday. All right, until next time.
Bye-bye.
Keep on playing.